What's up guys, I'm Boris and today I want to make a quick and short theory on a series of mobile horror games. Why? Well, I don't know, I just felt like doing it, and also because no one had really talked about these mobile horror games because they're mobile games. Today we're taking a look at 3 indie horror games made by Indie Fist Games. So the first one is Scary Doll horror game, very original. Curse of Evil Emily. I don't know who's Emily or why she's cursed and evil. Then we have Cursed Stepmother Emily. Okay, so I guess Emily is still cursed, evil, but now has adopted children. I don't know. Okay, so why am I making this video? Well, when I was checking the Google Play descriptions of these games, because this is usually the only way you get info about the game story, when it's a mobile game, I came to the realization that they're really inaccurate and also a complete lie. Like, you open up the game and the game story, at least what is told there, is completely different than what is said in the Google Play description. So I've decided to set out on a mission to actually piece together the story of these 3 games and actually come to a conclusion what the whole story is about. Okay, so now we're gonna start with Cursed Emily because I think this is the earliest it is in the timeline. Okay, so what's this game about? Well, apparently your girlfriend Emily and her friend Lucy, they go on like a camping trip or some sort of like vacation, and they visit this abandoned house. Then they fight a Ouija board and try to use it because of course they're women in a horror movie. Obviously they'll use the Ouija board and get possessed by demons. Yeah, that's it. The whole point of the game is just like Granny, but instead of running away from a granny, you try to save your girlfriend from a curse and all that stuff. However, something I don't understand is the game description says that your girlfriend's friend, her bestie, is called Claire, but when you go to the menu, it says that it's Lucy, so what the hell, dude? Now, out of all these 3 games, this one is pretty easy and self-explanatory. You just gather around some ritual stuff, some personal belongings of family, and then do the ritual. There are 3 endings. The game over ending, you die, she stays there forever, and that's it. The bad ending, which is if you kill her before the ritual, she'll be turned to normal and die, because you shot her. And then the good ending, where you don't shoot her, you just go about it normally and save her. Also, if you're wondering what happened to Lucy, I don't know, they never tell us. I personally think she died off screen because we get these notes all around the house explaining like what happened. Apparently Lucy found this Ouija board, together with Emily they used it, and afterwards Emily just started feeling unwell, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that by this time she already became a monster and ate Lucy. Before we move on to the next game, we have to discuss what might have happened off screen afterwards. So, my guess is that the player character married Emily and together they had 2 children. One daughter named Rosa, she is not a character at all, she's more of a MacGuffin in the entire series. And Claire, who refers to her father as father but to her mother as stepmother. Wait a second. Does this mean that she's from another world? The point is that Claire isn't Emily's daughter, so Emily just despises her so much, which will come important later. But now let's get to the next game, Scary Doll horror game. Okay, so in this game you play as Claire's father, which I assume is the same player from the previous game. But anyways, the point is that you brought some sort of toys anywhere to your daughter, then she became cursed or something, I don't know. Basically it says that you went on a vacation, then went back home, the house was pretty much empty and abandoned, and your daughter was stuck in the body of this doll. However, unlike the previous game, in this one your first choice or set of action is to try to escape. So does this mean you never cared about your daughter? Like, you just leave her to be cursed by this doll? And while this is technically the good ending, like you escape and all that, it's not the canon ending. The canon ending is when you gather several totems, that are scattered around the map, and actually when you collect a totem you get a cutscene that explains more of what happened to Claire. But anyways, to get the canonic you need to collect all of the totems, find the ritual place, as well as pick up a doll that has the looks of Claire, so I guess her body got turned into a doll while the soul was transferred into the evil doll. I'm not really sure how this works, but basically you do this ritual and you separate them, you bring Claire back to normal, and you think that the doll is dead, but no, actually you turn into a doll yourself and the doll is still alive, but as a separate sentient being. It's no longer Claire, it's someone else. And the doll just kidnaps you, and then you have to play as Claire. And then out of nowhere, Santa Claus arrives from nowhere, lands on the rooftop, and gets bonked in the head by the doll. But anyways, now I have to do some side quest puzzles in order to gather up presents. Yes, we need to use the boxes from the presents in order to climb up all the way to the attic. Even though that this is a house and has things called furniture and chairs, I'm pretty sure that the kid has enough strength to drag one or two chairs and climb up anyway. But you know, it's a video game, we need to extend the runtime. When you reach the attic, you actually come across a conversation between Santa and the doll just lashes out saying, "You abandoned me." And then Santa defends himself by saying, "You blew up my factory." And then she just says, "And it was the bomb." What do you mean by this? Are you bragging about blowing it? Are you proudly announcing that you did it? Then, out of nowhere, the doll uses some sort of Ant-Man superpower and shrinks herself along with Santa Claus to the size of like Beatles or something like this. And then they just glide on some sort of like rope or string hanging on the attic. I don't know what the hell is going on. And then for some unknown reason, Claire picks up a cookie on the table and of course she falls unconscious. I don't know, maybe it was poisoned or maybe it's some sort of magical cookie. I don't know, we will never know. This, please update these games, finish them. Okay, so let's go over what we've already learned. We have the player character who went from being a hero who saves his girlfriend to marrying his girlfriend, starting a family, for some reason living in the house of their friend, even though the property technically has to belong to their family. They are living there illegally, but we don't talk about this. We also have Santa Claus for some reason, before he became a White Walker. We also have this terrorist doll. I don't know, it's a sentient doll. We don't learn much of her because, as I said, the game isn't finished. We can only work with this piece of dialogue. So the doll had blown up Santa Claus's factory, then started, I don't know, being malicious and evil. I don't know. Okay, so now we move on to the next game, Cursed Stepmother Emily, which judging by this big billboard of Smiling Eggs Corporation in like the map of the game, leads me to believe that this is somewhere around the period where the corporation launched their propaganda campaign. It's probably not during the same time as the Smiling Eggs games because they were set in a more modern and futuristic place. Meanwhile, here we have normal houses, normal neighborhoods, and not so much advanced technology, so probably early 2000s or 2010s. Okay, so apparently this game takes place 15 years after the previous game. So I guess you could say that Scare Doll took place somewhere in the 90s. I don't know, I'm just speculating. Also, another thing that kinda confuses me is the fact that there's like civilization slowly building around this house. Like, yeah, sure, I get that the devs are just trying to reuse the same house. However, I just find it so weird that we go from a random villa in the middle of like forest resorts to actually having a highway being built next to the house and then to a whole neighborhood in the same place as the house. Like, how did this happen? Okay, so what's this game about? Well, gameplay wise is just another pranks mobile game, because for some reason this type of mobile game genre was very popular at the time this game was made. However, story-wise, the game is about Claire now being a grown person, actually finding out on the TV, even though it says YouTube, but we'll pretend that it's TV. She finds out that the house is actually being renovated and rebuilt, and also that Emily is still alive, and she wonders, is her sister still alive? Okay, so the game starts with what I can assume is one of those influencers that pretend to be reporters. However, instead of going around nightclubs and asking drunk people what they were doing in their college, instead they actually do a more reasonable thing and visit the oldest house in the region and ask the host or the resident about the house and all that stuff. And of course, during the interview, Amy, being the narcissist that she is, just constantly brags about how her house is so much beautiful. Then some random kids throw a rock at the window, which angers her to the point where she becomes a Timo version of She-Hulk. And I don't know what she does then. Does she kill the people? Does she beat them up? Did they just run away? So of course, Claire goes to the house and rings the bell. And Emily opens the door and just doesn't recognize her at all and shuts the door in her face. I guess she despises her so much that she erased her facial recognition from memory. So now you, Claire, is now forced to gather up flowers and send them as a gift to Emily. Emily accepts the flowers and lets you in, and then she asks you for tea, even though it's supposed to be the other way around, you know, the host gives tea and other drinks to their guests. But anyways, you give her tea, she falls asleep, and you can go upstairs to see what she's cutting. Over there is the trapdoor where Santa Claus was sent in, captured. I don't know what happened to him, maybe his corpse is rotting up there. But anyways, we go into one of the rooms and find a walkie-talkie where Rosa is crying out for her mother to send her out, to send her free, because you may not have noticed it, but the basement door is locked, and actually Rosa is locked down there in the basement. However, while you were listening to the walkie-talkie, Emily grabbed you and threw you out of the house. So I guess now we are copying Hello Neighbor as well. And the entire premise of the game is to just do pranks for Emily and rage bait her into turning into, as I said, Timo version of Hulk and destroy her own house. And every time she destroys a wall or something else like this, you get access to other areas to eventually unlock your way to the basement and free your sister Rosa. However, this game has been updated in 2 years, so I highly doubt that the devs will ever finish it. I don't know, we don't have any conclusion or ending to this. My guess is that you just free your sister, do some more pranks and escape. Or maybe you actually try to save Emily from the second curse and fix your relationship. I don't know, it's confusing. And the thing that bothers me the most with these games is that they just look unfinished or abandoned by the devs. For example, in Cursed Stepmother Emily, there are a few assets that are meant to have transparent textures, like the 2D trees or the gate in the garden. However, it seems like there was some sort of bug where the transparent texture is replaced by white cubes, and the devs have not fixed it at all. And then there's like the plot problems, the plot holes, like what happened to Emily, why she cursed again, did something happen again, was the whole cure just fake out and she was just replaced with a new curse. I don't know what happened to Santa, what the hell is Toy World. We may never learn. And that's it for this video, guys. I am really sorry if any of you are disappointed from my conclusion or just from the video itself. I just wanted to make a short theory video based on these 3 mobile horror games, but it was interesting diving into the lore of these games and actually piecing the things together.